Abhishek, let's address this issue, because I think Adit is right in pointing out that the questions that people have are based on the assumption that the cost structure is going to be significantly higher if you're operating a quick commerce business like Zepto. Now, is Zepto the exception? Is Adit the exception, or are we seeing legitimate business models where, there is viability and sustainability? You're working with just about everybody in the business at this point in time. What are the good habits? What are the bad habits?
Let me throw some data points at you. The typical cost of last mile delivery in a quick commerce kind of an ecosystem is about 30 to 35% lower than delivering food. Okay. One of the major reasons for that happening is basically the last mile delivery distance in a dark store sort of a model is significantly lower. There is no first mile distance. So typically as a delivery partner, I just have to go somewhere. I know where I have to go. It's a regular place where I will go. I will pick up the order. I will deliver it to the end customers. What we have also seen, and this is quite surprising versus what we had also anticipated probably a year back, delivery partners actually love quick commerce. There is a reason for that. They don't have to travel huge distances. They typically don't have to cross highways, cross flyovers while delivering to the customers, because some of these dark stores are actually very closely located to the customer. Okay. They get delivery demand throughout the day. I think the kind of value unlock that is happening, especially on the delivery partner side, the kind of satisfaction that we are seeing is definitely higher than what we are at least seen in food delivery, which is something which I would say at least 3 times as bigger as the entire quick commerce delivery market. And some of these things actually matter a lot in the long term. Okay, if your attrition rates are lower, if your partner satisfaction is higher, if your demand is spread across throughout the day, you can better manage your utilization.
आप क्या समझते हैं कि लॉन्ग रन में बेहतर मॉडल है ये? आप अगर थोड़ा बहुत अभी जो आपको वेरिएबल कॉस्ट भी दिया जा रहा है, डिस्टेंस ज्यादा होने पे और पैसे आपको दिए जाएंगे, तो आपको लग रहा है कि ये ट्रांजिशन हो पाएगा? आप कैसे देख रहे हैं इस मामले को?
देखिए, मैं पूरी बात सुन रहा था दिनों से भी, तो देखिए जो 10 मिनट के डिलीवरी की बात भी है, इसके अंदर देखो 2 किलोमीटर या 1.5 किलोमीटर का रेडिएशन जो उसके अंदर कितने ऑर्डर कर सकता था डिलीवरी बॉय, बताइए? हर रोज 10 से 15 डिलीवरी होंगे, ठीक है? 10 मिनट के डिलीवरी अगर जब टाइम पे नहीं पहुंचाने पे उसको 300 रुपए की पेनाल्टी भी है। अगर जब वो पैकिंग के अंदर कुछ प्रोडक्ट का भी प्रॉब्लम आ गया तो वो भी डिलीवरी बॉय को उसके अंदर भुगतान करना पड़ेगा, नुकसान उठाना पड़ेगा। और 10 मिनट का जो डिलीवरी दिया जा रहा, वो डिलीवरी के टाइम में अगर जब नहीं दे सक रहे तो वो भी आईडी का ब्लॉक है, रेटिंग का प्रॉब्लम है, कस्टमर का प्रॉब्लम है। इतना ही नहीं, आप देखिए 10 मिनट के अंदर का भी प्रॉब्लम, एक्सीडेंट का प्रॉब्लम कितना हो रहा। इतना ही नहीं, मैं ये बताना चाह रहा हूँ, सिंपल पेमेंट, मेरे को एक मिनिमम वेज पे लेके आओ ना, एक बेस पे लेके आओ। अब जो है 12 से 15 रुपए के बीच में जो है 8 से 10 हजार रुपए कमा सकता डिलीवरी बॉय, उससे बढ़ के नहीं कमा सकता। आपने तो वादा क्या किया था स्टार्टिंग में? 30,000, 35,000, 40,000 तक आप कमा सकते यहाँ पे प्लेटफॉर्म पे, बता के बड़े बड़े होर्डिंग्स लगाए थे, आप एड्स दिए थे। मगर आज क्या हो रहा? जब एक्सीडेंट हो रहा, उसको इंश्योरेंस क्लेम नहीं मिल रहा, उसको थर्ड पार्टी इंश्योरेंस है, वो थर्ड पार्टी इंश्योरेंस रेस्पॉन्ड तक नहीं होती। मैडम, हर स्टोर में हर वीक में एक एक्सीडेंट दिखा जाता, ये ग्राउंड की रियलिटी है। और डिलीवरी बॉय क्या चाह रहा, वो मॉडल को आप अप्लाई करो ना। कस्टमर खुद नहीं चाह रहे, कस्टमर खुद चाह रहे कि डिलीवरी बॉय खुद खुश रहे, मगर डिलीवरी वर्कर कहीं पे भी खुश नहीं है बीते हुए, चाहे वो फूड डिलीवरी के अंदर हो, चाहे वो ग्रोसरी डिलीवरी के अंदर हो। आप देखिए बीते हुए दिन से कितना डिलीवरी बॉय की आमदनी घट रही, आमदनी बढ़ने की जगह आमदनी लगातार घटते जा रही।
Shantanu, let me come to you now before I get wrap-up comments from everyone. And I want to address this issue to you as a consumer and also as a founder. On the back of what you've heard on this panel today, what do you believe has to be the way forward?
2-3 things. I think one is a realistic understanding of how consumer growth is going to happen. We saw this play out in e-commerce in a different way. We saw it play out in mobility in a different way, right? We assume that the market is for 10 to 15 crore people for mobility. It actually was smaller than that. And that's why the market did not grow commensurate to the valuation expectations. And then there were a lot of these kind of issues where you promise a certain driver salary, and then when the funding runs out, or when the rubber hits the road, you're not able to deliver on that at the scale at which you have promised. and then all of these things happen. So I think expectation of valuation and actual market size has to be kind of in sync. Sometimes you invest to create the market, but that cannot be an explosive one. It has to be a slower one, because India will take time. Consumer behavior will take time. Second thing is, I genuinely believe that Indian consumers, we have to, as founders, and I think Aditya, Abhishek are kind of amongst the best out there, finding a way for Indian consumers to pay for value in convenience is probably the biggest challenge that we have. Like there are enough examples of Indian consumers paying premiums for great value. There are enough examples. Like the alcohol industry is full, right? If you give great value, people will pay for it. But how do we do it across service models? How do we do it across product brands? How do we do it across the board? Is something that we genuinely have to figure out. And I think as consumers, we have to start realizing we brought furniture companies to the knees, yeah. 3 month trials for sofas. Consumers would buy the 89th day return, 89th day, and I've seen good people do that, right? So it really pains me to see when consumers really bring companies to their knees and mass, so that those kind of habits should be, I think, socially, we like look down upon them. It just looks really, really bad. Myntra, great amount of returns. People are buying 10 shoes, returning 9. Next month, again, buying 10 shoes, returning 9. Good people, 5 lakh per month household income. It just does not make sense to do that. So I think everyone has to solve the problem. I don't think it's easy, but I think just kind of tying market expectations with valuation expectations is important.
Yeah, I think that's really at the heart of this as well, is to get expectation management right. And Aditya, I'll give you the final say as far as this debate is concerned. What do you believe as a company that is in the quick commerce business that you believe needs to be done across the board for the industry to ensure that this remains viable and sustainable? You're saying that you are, but for this industry to be viable and to grow sustainably, what do you believe are the ingredients for success?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the last word here. And I think, I'll start by saying, we have a deep amount of respect for the rest of this industry. I think we respect the competitors that we have. They're pushing us to be better operators, better, deliver better customer experience, grow faster. So we respect and we're thankful for the competition we have. And frankly speaking, even the situation we're discussing in right now of one of our competitors, I'm honestly very confident they'll be able to solve it soon. I think they've got a crack team, and I'm sure we're sort of in the fag end of that. Look, in terms of my thought process in this model, I absolutely agree with Sheikh Ji that if we have to succeed in the long term, it's got to be not at the expense, but by the side of the folks that are doing real work on the ground, the delivery partners, the packers, the customer support agents, and we've tried our best to do that. In fact, Zepto has not had a single large scale strike in its entire history, like the one that we're discussing today, predominantly because we've tried to do that. Now, that's not because we inflate wages or try to do things that aren't sustainable, but because we want to treat the people that we feel are really driving value with respect. Right. And like I mentioned, across delivery partners and backers, customer support agents, and more. And so, yeah, that's our thought process. I think that, it gets missed sometimes in, the air conditioned offices of large companies with lots of capital. But the reality is, if you really build with, a best in class, with best in class operating discipline, with high integrity and probably most importantly, obsession with customers, I think we're building like a phenomenal business that can be, I believe, much larger than people think right now. I'll leave it with one last, sort of anecdote. I think if you look at Jeff Bezos building Amazon, right, one anecdote that he has is in 2001, when he lost 97% of his market value at Amazon, most people wrote off e-commerce. But he knew, sort of looking at his data, his P&L, his customer experience metrics, that he was actually building something generational. And so the negativity around him didn't really affect where he was taking the business. And I think, our team and I'm sure other folks in this industry are feeling similarly. So yeah, we're excited, and hopefully we can do this with delivery partners by our side.
Thank you, Sheikh Ji. Thank you, Adit. Thank you, Abhishek, Sheikh Salahuddin, and Shantanu Deshpande for joining us here on this Young Turks conversation on the future of the quick commerce model. And as I said, the jury is out, and time will tell which way this is going to go. But we will continue to focus on this as a story, and we will continue to focus on this as a business model as well. But with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Young Turks. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned. The news continues on the other side.